A few big unsupported games are getting updates to work with the Steam Deck, and I couldn't be happier, but some people still have a major problem with the way Deck Verify treats online-only DRM. Let's get into it. What's good, Deck Gang? This week we have quite a few bangers that are getting updates for the Steam Deck. In my last video I mentioned Proton 7 reaching release candidate 1, and Plagman has given us some details about what that means. Here's what he said specifically. Quote, Proton 7.0 is now available. Highlights include playable Persona 4 Golden, audio fixes for Skyrim and Fallout games, local H.264 decoding support, and the foundation for legacy EAC support. Star Wars Squadrons and Knockout City are currently playable with EAC, with more on the way soon. End quote. When I first reported that Persona 4 Golden was unsupported, a lot of you were pretty upset about this. You all said how much you wanted to play Persona 4 Golden on the Steam Deck and how the Steam Deck is perfect for that game. I agree. And while I did say it should be playable with the workaround of using Proton GE, I also know the value of convenience of things just working. That's why it's such great news that Proton 7 includes support for the WMA codec, which makes Persona 4 playable, at least. It's important to note that it may not be perfect yet, and there is probably still work that needs to be done in future Proton updates. One user on Twitter reported that the cutscene playback wouldn't always work. The issue with the WMA codec used in cutscenes is that you can't play back the video without downloading libraries that Valve is not allowed to redistribute. So as I understand it, Valve's workaround for this is to transcode the video into a compatible format. It sounds like whether or not the cutscene works now depends on whether the transcoded video exists and is properly downloaded to your machine. This is all an improvement to the previous state where the game would crash whenever a cutscene played. So now you can play the game, but not all cutscenes will play properly. Obviously, if I'm playing Persona, I probably want to watch the cutscenes. The important thing here though is that Valve is clearly working on it, and it seems inevitable that this will eventually be perfectly playable on the Steam Deck if it's not already. That's great because Persona 4 is one of the many games on my wall of shame. Games that I should have finished but for one reason or another never did. So I'm really looking forward to picking it back up on the the Steam Deck? What games do you have in your wall of shame? What games are you waiting to play on the Steam Deck? Let me know in the comments. While I'm here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and slap the bell because it really helps my channel reach more people. So this release of Proton also includes support for Anno 1404, Call of Juarez, DCS World Steam Edition, Disgaea 4 Complete, Forza Horizon 5, Monster Hunter Rise, Oceanhorn, Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil Revelations, Wargroove, War Tales, and Yakuza 4 Remastered. There's also a game-specific update for Apex Legends. It's weird that Proton needs an update here with regard to Apex Legends and EAC, but the code indicates that this is a temporary solution. Plagman also mentioned that EA added support for EAC with Knockout City and Star Wars Squadrons. I think this is interesting because it's starting to form a picture around who are currently Valve's closest partners, which game publishers are betting on the Steam Deck's success and going the extra mile to make their games playable and verified. I see EA, Sony, and Capcom as close partners here. Sony and Capcom have worked with Valve to make sure God of War and Monster Hunter Rise were Proton compatible on day one. All of these publishers seem to be invested in getting their games as playable as possible. In addition to all of that, the developers of Valheim and No Man's Sky both boasted about the changes that they were making to their games for the Steam Deck. In the case of Valheim, there's a new beta with the ability to pause in single player and full controller support, including the requisite glyphs. No Man's Sky already had excellent support for Linux and Steam's Big Picture Mode APIs. According to our resident BPM expert, Mosquito, it was the only game he's played that automatically invokes the on-screen keyboard when text input is needed. Now, they are releasing their Sentinel update, which they say is specially optimized for the Steam Deck, including touchscreen input. It also has support for FSR, which is great because even though the Steam Deck can apply FSR to any game, native FSR implementation is preferred because it will render the HUD at a native resolution. And not to be left out of all the game updating fun, Valve has updated Half-Life 2 and all of its episodes. The release notes all say the same thing, quote, UI and import support for the Steam Deck verification. I've reported on this before in a beta branch, but now it looks like it's live and it's looking great. You can try it yourself if you launch the game with a Gamepad UI flag. With this, we should finally see these games get verified soon. So I'm extremely excited about the progress being made, and in my mind, this is only just the beginning. But there is a controversial subject around the deck compatibility testing. So there are a number of tests that Valve will run on a game when they evaluate compatibility that don't factor into the verified status. They will make a note of these tests in the compatibility results on the store page for that game. Things like external controllers don't work for the primary player. Something like this could limit the playability of the game when docked. Steam has a workaround for this, but it's an important note nonetheless. There's one that poses a major problem, however, and that's draconian online-only DRM. In particular, Hitman 3 is very bare bones without an internet connection, thanks to Reddit user such COD7046 for summarizing this so well. So in the compatibility results, Valve says that the game does not require internet for setup or for single player. That's technically true, but the game basically plays like a demo if you're playing without an internet connection. You can't view your profile or post mission score, you can't access escalation contracts or the sniper assassin mode, you won't get any unlocks or access your inventory, and you can't even save the game. That's not a game, that's a demo. In that Reddit thread, the OP suggests that this should prevent the game from reaching a verified status. I'm on the fence about this, but given the portable nature of the Steam Deck, I can absolutely see where they're coming from. What do you think? Should this play a bigger role in Deck Verified? Let me know in the comments. Alright, and the other big story from last week, of course, is iFixIt is going to be one of the authorized resellers of Steam Deck replacement parts. That's right, Valve made a new blog post announcing that iFixIt will be selling replacement parts for the Steam Deck. That is absolutely colossal news if you ask me. I hope that at a minimum this means analog sticks, hard drives, and batteries. But I think it would be great if they could one day get to the point where you could build a Steam Deck from parts. That would be phenomenal. I thought the keywords here were one of, indicating that there may be more partners to be announced in the future. iFixIt definitely seems like the premier partner, but I'm looking forward to seeing who else may be involved. Ever since the teardown, I was wondering how they were going to handle selling the replacement parts that they alluded to. I didn't imagine that Valve would be interested in selling those parts themselves, but anything is possible. This puts it all together, and apparently Valve Index replacement parts are included as part of this deal too. Also in this post, Valve mentions iFixIt's teardown, which was very enjoyable. Based on the previous teardowns, you can guess the result. It got good marks for relative ease of getting to most parts. The one exception, of course, was the battery. They mentioned the holes in the frame under the battery, which made them hesitant to use alcohol to lubricate the adhesive. In a Twitter thread, iFixIt speculated on why Valve may have went with such a difficult to remove battery, and the bottom line is that they were trying to maximize the size of the battery without risking that it would get punctured. Pull tabs would take up some space, meaning that the battery would have to be smaller. And if the battery wasn't adhered at all, then there would be a chance that it would move around and a risk that it could get punctured. They also removed the display, which seemed to be easy enough. Carrot Cryptos on Twitter pointed out that on the WAN show, Linus theorized about a potential OLED replacement, and my goodness, can you imagine? That would be amazing. In the end, iFixIt gave a repairability score of 7, which seems fair enough. And as per the usual standard, there's a write-up to go along with the video, and that has even more detail than the video itself. Oh, and there was a potato GLaDOS in the video, so +1 to recent Portal references. And some final bits of news for the week. It looks like the Dolphin emulator team have access to a Steam Deck, hell yeah. Also, Dbrand has been updating people on the kill switch case. The latest update is that Dbrand will be offering custom skins for the deck. This is unsurprising, but exceedingly welcome. And finally, the Fox says, quote, "My opinion is that there will be no better handheld in 2022, and it's much more than just price or performance," end quote. Well, we'll have to wait until the 25th to hear more. And to that end, we are just 5 days away from the 25th. I cannot believe it. Back in early November, I made a video about the things I wanted Valve to do as they approached the launch of the Steam Deck. Here's a link to that video. Watch it and let me know how Valve is doing with regard to your wish list. Have they done everything that you expected them to do? Have they met your expectations, exceeded your expectations? Let me know. And with that, Deck Gang out. Goodbye.